My friend, you told me to make a video about Canada's old flags, and because I love you, we're gonna do it. So today we're gonna be ranking all of Canada's old flags, and surprisingly, Canada had cooler and more flags than I expected. Honestly, I just thought they had like 2 flags or something, but they had like 6. So today we're gonna be ranking them based on their design, history, and story. And as you know, the rankings go from F to S, where S is the best and F is the worst. But yeah, the ranking part is subjective. Like, wait until the end of the video and see the final rankings yourself and decide. And if you agree with it, cool. I like you. You're my friend. But if you don't, well, okay, I still like you. You're still my friend, but show me if you can come up with a better ranking than the one I come up with. But anyway, let's see what Canada's flags look like. So back in 1534, there was a French explorer named Jacques Cartier who sailed from France because he wanted to go to Asia, but for some weird reason, he found himself in Canada. Well, it wasn't called Canada back then, but he specifically went to an area which is called right now Newfoundland. So he landed there and he realized, oh, this is a new land. Okay, this land is mine. And he put this flag, which was the white flag with gold lilies. And by doing that, it was a way of saying that this land now belongs to the King of France. But he wasn't alone, because then more explorers started doing the same thing and started spreading the flag. For example, this other guy, Samuel de Champlain, who founded Quebec City. Anyway, after spreading the flag a lot, they were like, okay, it's our country now. And they named the country New France because that's the most creative that they can get. But now the French built homes and forts and they started trading with the indigenous people there. Who am I kidding? They also fought with the indigenous people there a lot. But anyway, the French now had 2 settlements, Quebec and Montreal. But at the same time, the British were also there, but they were in the south and east. And both of them wanted to control this whole area. But their fights started small. Like at first, some little battles here and there or some raid, but then a little by little those small battles started getting bigger and bigger, and that caused a huge war called the 7 Years' War between France and Britain, and the winner of this fight was Britain. So yeah, bye France's flag, you're gone, because now comes another flag. Actually wait, come back again, because before we reveal the second flag, we need to rate this flag first. Okay, so for the ranking, honestly this flag would look nice as a wallpaper, but like not your phone's wallpaper, like an actual wallpaper. And because of that, we're going to be putting this flag in B tier, just because of the wallpaper vibes. So anyway, we said that the British won the war, right? And because they won the war, they put their flag, which you, my friend watching, obviously knows, the Union Jack. And I honestly have some mixed feelings about this flag, because every time I see this flag shown outside of the UK, there are always some atrocious stories coming with it. But since the British won the war, life in Canada started to change fast. The French people who were living there were now called French Canadians and were now living under the British rule. And they got new rules, new laws, new governments, and many English-speaking settlers coming in. But the British thought to themselves, they were like, if we started forcing the French Canadians to change to our language and our religion, they might revolt. So because of that, they decided to let the French Canadians keep their language, keep their religion, and civil laws just to prevent any rebellions. But what they didn't expect is a rebellion that's coming from their own people. Because in America, the 13 colonies there wanted to break free from Britain and wanted to be its own country. And that caused the American Revolution. But we are talking about Canada here, my friend. So how would that affect Canada? So a lot of people living in America did not want independence. Like, they liked the British. And 50,000 people who were called the Loyalists because they were loyal to the UK left America and moved north to Canada because apparently they like the British customs and traditions. But anyways, now Canada became more English than ever. But you might ask me, Omar, that's only 50,000 people. Like, that's not that much. Well, my friend, it's the 1700s. So yeah, 50,000 people made a lot of difference back then, because that actually doubled Canada's population. But that was not all for America, because a few decades later, America was like, I want to invade Canada. And that caused the War of 1812. But America failed, and fun fact, during that war, the British and Canadian troops burned the White House. So yeah, now finally Canada was at peace. Like, Canadians can enjoy their British traditions and sip their tea or something. I really don't know what the British did back then. But yeah, they were supposed to be happy. Well, not everyone, because some people were like, no, we want Canada to make its own decisions, like not just depend on the British. But surprisingly, Britain didn't fight back as much. They were like, That'll be a lot easier if they just govern themselves. Like, it's gonna be a lot less headache. And they split Canada into 4 colonies: Ontario, Quebec, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick. And then in 1867, those 4 colonies agreed to join together and made a new country called the Dominion of Canada. So that's when finally Canada became a country. But all of that, by the way, was while they were still under the British rule. Like, the Union Jack was still used as the official flag of Canada. But also during that time, Canadians were like, we want something more unique, something more Canadian, like not just the Union Jack. But before we get to the next flag, let's first rate this second flag. So for the ranking, okay, my friend, this video here is about Canada, and the Union Jack is British. Like, yeah, it does have a lot of history in Canada, but I don't know. Like, looks-wise, it's alright, I guess. So maybe because of all of that, let's put this flag in the C tier. And if you disagree with me, it's okay. We're still friends. Like, each person is entitled to their own opinion, but if your opinion is different than mine, you're wrong. So anyway, Canadians were like, okay, now is the time we make our own flag. A flag that represents Canada. A flag that represents us. And they finally introduced this flag, the Canadian Red Ensign. And this flag is the most Canadian thing ever. Like, they did not want to upset anyone. Like, look at this. They have the Union Jack on the left corner. And on the right, a Canadian shield showing the coat of arms of the 4 founding provinces. But you'd be like, Omar, there are more than 4 signs there. Like, what's going on? My friend, I like that you're paying attention. So under this flag, Canada was growing more. And they got more provinces such as Manitoba, British Columbia, and Prince Edward Islands. And because we know Canada doesn't want to upset anyone, they upgraded the flag to include all of the provinces. So yeah, that's why it has all of those drawings. This is actually really cute. I love this. But thing is, during that time, this flag wasn't the official flag of Canada because Canada was still under the British rule. But people didn't care. They loved this flag and they started flying it everywhere, on schools or government buildings or ships and even ceremonies. Even the Prime Minister back then, Sir John A. Macdonald, used this flag. So yeah, this flag became the people's flag. Even during World War I, when Canada joined under the British Empire, the Canadian soldiers carried 2 flags, the Union Jack and the Canadian Red Ensign. So because of how sweet this flag is, even though it looks super messy and it looks like a 5-year-old just kept upgrading his drawing, I'll still give this flag an A tier. But remember, this flag wasn't the official flag, but Canada at that time had grown a lot. Like, they had their own government, their own army, but they didn't have their own flag. But that finally changed in 1921 because King George V, who was the British king at the time, gave Canada its own coat of arms. And it looked like this. It had England's lion, Scotland's red lion, Ireland's golden harp, and France's fleur de lis from the French history in Canada so that we don't upset the French. And in the bottom, there were the 3 maple leaves, but also with the Union Jack on the top left. But even though it still had the Union Jack, Canadians finally got their own official flag. So they were super happy. They loved it. They even used it during World War II because now it was their official flag. So they finally got their flag and they got their government, they got their army, and after World War II, Canada also got its own seat at the United Nations. So they started becoming an independent country that didn't really need Britain anymore. So some Canadians were like, do we really need the Union Jack on our flag? And they were like, we should be more independent. But some Canadians, especially veterans, were like, we love the Red Ensign. We used it during the war. But younger Canadians were saying that it's time to finally have our own flag that is completely ours. And this flag debate went on for 20 years. It's technically called the Great Flag Debate. Seriously, imagine debating over a flag for 20 years. Like, seriously, don't you guys have better things to do? But anyway, before we move to the next flag, let's first rate this flag. So this flag was loved by a lot of Canadians. Like, it was their first official flag. Like, it took them 20 years to get convinced to change it. So because of all of that, we're going to be putting this flag in A tier. And just because it still has the Union Jack, like, no hard feelings towards it, but for me, it's still not 100% Canada, you know? But while Canada had their whole flag debate thing, they also decided to do a little change to the flag. And instead of having the green maple leaves, they changed it to red. Yeah, seriously, my friend, that's all they did. They just changed the color. And that took them like 12 years. But also that change meant that Canada's official colors were now red and white. So that's something. But still, during that time, Canadians were still debating whether they should change the flag or not because of the Union Jack. But finally, someone came to end this whole flag debate because Lester B. Pearson became the Prime Minister in 1963, and he was like, okay, enough is enough. Let's fix that flag problem. Like, seriously. It's not that deep. So during that time, citizens started sending letters, a lot of letters with their own design for a new flag. Like, those were some of the designs, for example. Like, these were crazy, but finally, after so long, Canada picked its flag. But before we get to that flag, let's first rate this flag here, because, well, they only changed the color, and this flag basically has little history to it, and they only changed the color, so we're gonna be putting this flag in C tier. Like, seriously, my friend, it's just the color. But finally, after years, the great flag debate was over and Canada picked its new flag, which is the current flag of Canada. And honestly, they did pick a good one. And on February 15th, 1965, people gathered in front of the Parliament in Ottawa to see the new flag being raised. And I'm thinking about it now, bro, it's mid-February in Canada. Like, that would be freezing there. But yeah, they stood there waiting for the new flag to get raised, because it was a historical moment. And they picked the maple leaf because it was a Canadian symbol for years. And it was also a really good time to change the flag because in 1967, it was Canada's 100th birthday. So they had the new maple flag leaf everywhere to celebrate Canada's 100th birthday of becoming a country. And as for the ranking, I do love this flag. It is iconic. Easily S tier. And there you have it, my friend, the final rankings for Canada's flags. Let me know what you think, and I love you, my friend.